Hi. Recently I got these two questions. How can I assemble a team? And how do I handle structural company issues? Although they came from very different contexts, they had the same underlying question underneath them all. It was, how do I optimize for value? And value is a very dangerous question, a very dangerous term, because it is a very subjective term. Right? And to handle a subjective thing, we need to make it objective so that you can have a good conversation. And to do that, my favorite technique is, as always, to visualize it. Right? And there are many different names to this. I'm sure I draw from many different areas. Process diagram, process map, process flows, flow chart, all of these. I normally just refer to them as value stream mapping, but my lean colleagues always tell me that what I'm doing is not value stream mapping, but this is, in my mind, this is the sequence of words that best describe what we're trying to do here. What it boils down to is just boxes, lines, and kind of a sequence. And figuring out where are all these things in the space of this value chain, and where can we find friction and opportunities there. And the step is, and the process is quite easy. Right? It boils down to three things. What's the end of the process? What are the steps to get there? And who's involved? Right? So let me snap out of this. So normally what I do is this. I was working recently with a team doing this workshop, and I said, okay, let's imagine the right side is the value delivered to your customers, right? And then the left side is the trigger. But let's start with this side here. What is this thing? So, and that is one of the hardest questions on the route to make this subjective idea of value more objective, is to have people align on this, right? And a lot of times these dumb questions, that's my expertise, is to bring them up. And it always surprises me that those questions, sometimes they get taken for granted, or you just get assumed over them, and we're not discussing them enough, right? So this is a very important step to start with. Okay, what is the little present that we're giving our customer, right? So that's the first step. Have a conversation about this, right? And then start with, okay, how do we get there? And normally what I do is just start saying, let's say there is a software, right? This new feature is deployed in production. All right, so what happens before that? There's some testing. Okay, good. What happens before that? There's some development. All right, and before that, we need to do some analysis, design, and so on. Like some things to figure out what should it look like. All right, and then before that, we need to figure out that this is a problem worth solving. So prioritize the problem. And how do you prioritize the problem? Well, we need to figure out that the problem exists, right? Finds out that the problem exists. All right, and right there you already have a basis to start having your conversation, right? Because what are our initial questions again? It's like, how can I assemble a team? And so the context there was like, different different parts of a company were coming together to work in an agile way, right? They just finished taking the training and said, okay, how can we actually put this into practice, right? We're broken down into development and testing teams and so on. And the other one was, I think, very similar, but it was a bit more in the how a lot of companies are functioning, that they're like, okay, I have these structures, I'm having a hard time articulating them so that I can actually have start talking about proposals, right? So the way I look at this is, you just imagine a line here growing across from one side to another. Let's make the line black so we see this, right? And this is the flow. This is how you need to go from left to right to produce value, right? So this is the first step, the second step. Then the third step is to find out, who is who in this process, right? Let's say there is keeping very broad terms here. So you have the stakeholders. Who is in the deployment actually? The deployment. That's our operations team. All right. So we start tracing this thing, kind of linking these things together, and putting them in the right lanes, right? So okay, here we go. Yep. So we have this. And then who's doing the testing? We have a QA team. Okay, so QA does the testing. All right, let's move that there to that responsibility. And who's the development? Of course we have a development team. And I'm using the simplest way to connect license boxes. There's BPMN is probably much more visually better to list all these things, but you can kind of see the work here. And then you have, okay, who's going to do the analysis? You have some analysis team, or the UX team, or let's call this UX team. They're trying to figure out what to build for the customers, right? So, and then there is somebody here that's the stakeholders are prioritizing the problem. Well, actually, not really. We have a team that the analysts are doing it, or the CX, or let's just call it the product team is figuring it out, right? The product owner. Figure out together with the stakeholders, right? There's somebody needs to take some decisions there, facilitating this conversation with the stakeholders. So now our process looks something like this, right? So you have these, kind of prioritize the problem, then there's the UX team, and you kind of have this waterfall way here. And at this point, what I'll just do is this. Okay, I have the team here. The team should be something like this. So this is your team, right? And this right here should already give you enough space to start having a conversation about it. Why do we not have all the skills in this team? Why can we not have testing working with development to work with the deployment team, right? And this is the gospel that Scrum is preaching. Like, how can we not be cross-functional, right?